Hello, hello, lovely creative friends. I'm waving to you from my little studio here in our backyard in Jervis Bay, Australia. My name is Tracy Verdugo. If you are a new friend here, welcome. And if you're an old friend, welcome also. I have such a large, beautiful, diverse community of people that I have met, some in person, some online, some that have been friends for 15 years now on social media. And I am so grateful to do what I do with my creative biz, which is to help you find your confidence in your art journey, to stop comparing yourself to everybody else, to be brave enough to make the next move, to work through the happy accidents, to be okay with making bad art, just all the things that sometimes get in our way and stop us from moving forward. That's my main mission, is to get you moving, to get the momentum going, and to help you to not get stuck. And I think that's the thing that students say to me most, is that they get stuck all the time. Mostly it is through comparison, it's through self-judgment, it's through sometimes not knowing what the next move is, or being scared to make the next move in case you ruin something. So all of those things can stop us, and it's my mission to help you overcome those obstacles. So what I'm doing over the next several months, we'll be traveling in Europe, and I teach art retreats every year in various places around the world, but this year it's Europe, Italy and Portugal, and I love what I get to do. I love meeting all of my students in person and having that intense, beautifully intense, immersive week of creativity together, where we get to laugh and cry and create and sing and dance and drink wine and eat beautiful food, and it's an amazing experience. If you ever get the chance, please do consider joining an art retreat or a singing retreat or a walking, like just something where you're with like-minded community. It's astonishingly healing and helpful in our self-growth. And anyway, there I go again, rambling off. And then I start to forget, what is it that I'm sharing? Okay, so while I'm away, what I'm going to be sharing with you are a series of videos that previously were a part of my Patreon community. So I ran a Patreon community for a year, and which time I realized that I was my plate was too full. I was burning the candle, and I was not able to keep up with everything that was on my list of things to do. And some things were starting to slide that were really important to me, like my YouTube community, Instagram, my Facebook alumni group as well. So I decided to let Patreon go, but there was so much fabulous content there from the year that I did run it. My patrons said to me, Tracy, could you please repurpose the content and get it out there? So I've decided to do that for you all here on YouTube. So while I'm traveling, I will try and jump in every now and again with a little bit of a travel update, but also each week we'll be dropping one of these videos from Patreon, and so you get to share in some of these tutorials. So I'm doing a little intro to each video, and because I've just blabbed on for a bit, I've forgotten which video that I'm going to do. So let's have a look here. Oh yes, this one. This is a fun one. Okay, so this one was a voted tutorial on Patreon. So I had a little section every month where I gave my patrons a few choices to vote on. And so this month they voted on a little mixed media piece where we created a scene with collaged animals. And I've done this before, and it's such a fun technique. So I have, if you love this tutorial, if you have a lot of fun working along with me during this tutorial, I encourage you to go to my website and look up, actually I'll post the links down below, look up my 2 classes that I have on creating fun animals, One is called Animalitos and one is called Animal Antics. And there is another lesson similar to this in one of those. I forget which one. I think Animal Antics, I think. So if you love it, you'll get a chance to do it again. And both of those classes are available as self-paced classes, which means that you get to do them at your own pace and you get to keep them forever. All my classes are yours to keep forever. So if you're new to this community, new to my YouTube channel, please consider liking and subscribing. We drop videos and tutorials and sketchbook explorations and art vlogs every week, usually on a Monday or a Tuesday. And I love to see what you all think about them and see what work comes out of it for you and what your thoughts are as well. So I hope you have a great week. Ciao for now. See you again soon. Bye. Hey everyone, welcome to this month's monthly voted Patreon tutorial. I'm a little bit late because I actually tried to make this video last week and I just had one of those terrible days where nothing kind of worked out the way that I wanted it to. And I filmed for about 2 hours trying different things and I don't know, and nothing seemed to work. So in the end, and I very rarely do this, but in the end I gave up and I called it a day and I decided to come back to it another day, and I've decided to change directions. So I'm looking at this beautiful book I have in front of me, Eric Carle's Book of Amazing Animals. And I'm sure that most of you will be familiar with Eric Carle, of course, very famous for The Hungry Caterpillar, this little guy right here. And he is one of the foremost kind of collage illustrators of all time, I think. And his work is just stunning. And so I bought this book for Nora, but I also bought it for me because I get so inspired by illustrators, especially by children's illustrators. There's just something so magical about their approach and their work. So I thought I would do a little tutorial for you all today, a la Eric Carle, inspired by, and work with some collage that I've created over the last few days. So I'll just kind of go through some of these. His textures are so beautiful. And you know, you could go through these books and just think about, you know, what kind of things has he done to create this collage texture, you know? So perhaps a piece of paper, this guy, painted all in different tones of blue, and then some black paint over the top, and then scratch, scratch, scratch with the bamboo skewer, and there's a sheet of collage paper for you to put in your stash. And so, you know, you'll see a lot of them that have different stripes or marks. So it's just a perfect way for you to play with mark making, is to create collage papers and then keep them in a stash however you want to organize them, so that you can cut or tear them and then create little collage stories with them. So it looks like he does a lot of cutting. I tend to prefer more organic collage, so I do tend to rip a lot to tear my collage. But maybe I'll try a little bit of both today and see how it feels to have some more kind of precise cut forms as well. You can see this beautiful elephant here, and again, lots of scratching through on that collage paper. Just a note with collage paper, you can use all kinds of things. You can use book paper, like if you buy old books from the secondhand store or from the op shop, you can tear out the pages and paint on them. I love to use tissue paper the most. So underneath here's a stash. So what did I get this week? I don't know. So I got a package this week and there were several sheets of white tissue paper in the package. And I was like, yay, I love it when that happens because I keep all of that stuff. And then I just spend an afternoon painting, dabbing, making marks, oil pastel paint, charcoal, pencil, whatever you want to throw at it. You're not worried about what you're doing or what you're making. You're just making as many marks as you can. So I'll scrape with a credit card, I'll dab, I'll splatter, I'll use brushes, I'll use scrapers, I'll use a water bottle, a spray bottle in some places. and you just kind of build up the textures. So what I try and do is each time I create a sheet, I try and keep it to a color theme. And so this one I just did, and I'll always have some contrast. So this one I did the Payne's Grey for my dark. I don't think I put any light on this one, just the light of the paper. And then I had blues and greens on this sheet. And then I did another large sheet that was all more earthy colors. So nickel, azo gold, the Payne's Grey again, some burnt umber, some cream, what was that, Titan buff. So that's 2 large sheets of that. So I've got lots of interesting marks and things on there. And then I have a stash that I keep. I'll show you my box in a second, of old artworks that I've done that either didn't work out or I just didn't want anymore, or maybe they were just a study of something. And so this was actually a face, but tearing it up, you've got some really interesting pieces to use for collage, okay? So again, just old pieces, craft paper, so something was wrapped in this. And so I just put it on the floor and I just rolled over some pink paint or some magenta and some white and let them mix together. What else? This sheet, I just always have a sheet next to me. And as rather than just putting a brush full of paint back into the water jar when I've finished using that color, I'll wipe it off onto the sheet that's next to me until most of the color is off. And that way I haven't wasted paint and I've actually created a collage sheet as well. Pink tissue, I think this one. So I've just pulled out a few things and I want to build a little scene and I have no idea what I'm going to build just yet. So just feeling, inspired by these fabulous collages. Maybe I'll have a look through and find some little characters. Maybe I'll just come up with characters of my own. Let's see what unfolds. I do know what I want to start with. And oftentimes, if you just have a starting off point, just something to get you going, that can be really, really helpful. So let me just show you this box first of all. So it's too big to fit onto the camera, but I have a large box full of collage stash, collage paraphernalia, and this box is just for hand painted papers. So those are papers with my own marks on them. I also have other containers that have other papers like gift wrapping papers or patterned serviettes or book pages that have a bit of paint on them, that type of thing. But what I thought I would do, I'm just using a small piece of paper. Let's see. Hard to get myself organized in a small space when I'm also trying to do this on camera. All right, so put everything over here for now. What I wanted to start with is just the idea that there is some grass or some kind of greenery along one edge or maybe across the whole of the bottom. I'm not sure yet. So I'm just looking for the best place to do that. And I feel like this might be it over here. So I'm just going to tear this. And I'm going to let it, see, part of what I love is just not knowing what's going to be included when I tear. It's an organic process. So I'm going to get rid of the big piece now. Pop that back into my box. And I'm going to see what would happen if I put this here. That's pretty good. And just see if I have anything else that I could overlay. Because this is tissue paper, it just fits so beautifully. Not fits, but integrates so beautifully into the artwork. I like this. I like this burst of green, lighter green. So I'm going to see if I can incorporate that. Maybe from there. And I might just tidy up these edges so that I can glue them down And I try to keep all of the little scraps, especially when I'm working on a piece, just keep them nearby because you might actually need to incorporate those little bits as well. All right, so what I'm using as my collage glue is matte medium. So I'm using Liquitex matte medium, and you can use a gel medium. Oh, there's a bug in there. That's unusual. Get out. Hold on a moment. I just need to get this bug out of my matte medium. I can't believe there's a bug in there. Okay, he's gone. Liquitex matte medium. You never know what's going to happen when you're on video, do you? So you can use gel medium, you can use a gloss or a matte. Up to you, experiment and see what feels good for you. So when you are applying the matte medium, just make sure I use my more raggedy brushes for this process. I don't want to use good brushes and ruin them. You can clean this off, obviously, but I just tend to reach for the brushes that have already had a bit of wear and tear. So I'm adding a layer first onto the watercolor paper I'm using, which is 300 GSM. I pretty much use the same Strathmore paper for most of these tutorials. Here we go. And then it might not be high enough. A little bit further. And then I'm going to lay down the collage on top. And then I'm going to use credit card or an old hotel card to smooth this out. You can see I didn't go far enough up there, so I can just tuck a little bit more underneath. And again, smooth that out. And I always like to add a layer of the medium on top as well. So I'll just grab some water. So rather than adding a thick layer, I'll just get a watery brush and I'll just skim a layer of the medium across the top as well. And especially with this more porous tissue paper, it really helps it to sit beautifully on the page, eliminates bubbles. All right, and that also gives me a little bit of a base to add this little bit here. And another layer over the top. And we've got the beginnings of a landscape. Now, who are we going to put in this landscape? Could be anyone. I'm just going to have a look at what I have here and see whether anything leads me to a clue. Okay, now I like the idea of this one. No, I can't see a giraffe, right? But what I can see is giraffe-ish, right? Giraffe-like marks or something that I could work with. And this just reminded me of the length of a neck, right? So knowing that giraffes also have very long legs, what I'm trying to figure out, I don't have to get everything all at once. I can kind of just start with, let's do this. Let's just start with what I feel like going completely out of my head here. And the good thing about working like Eric Carle is that it doesn't have to be a realistic giraffe. So let's do this. One thing is going to lead to another. Let's do this. So I feel like he's going to have body that comes down. I want him to have a little bit of room. Okay, I think he needs to be a little bit smaller in proportion. So let's do, now here's what I'm seeing. Okay, so as I'm cutting, I'm seeing these two little bits here, which are in the exact right spot for two little horns. So let's just cut around those little horns. This happens so often, it's like magic. You set your mind on something, and then you begin to see all the things that can lead you to the thing that you've set your mind on. It's actually quantum physics. It's actually scientific manifestation. All right, so there's these two little horn things. Probably not quite that wide, so just make them a little bit thinner. And then I'll be able to add his ears on after this. Okay, that's pretty cool. So let's make him a little bit thinner this way as well. So I'm not looking at the big picture just yet. I'm just doing one thing at a time. So here is a little giraffe head. I'm going to take this off because I don't know what's happening with his legs yet. I just want his neck for now, and I don't want to be confused. And I hope I'm not confusing you because I confuse myself a lot. Okay, picking up other bits, right, to see. Now this is a bit tricky because I don't want this to kind of, like this is tissue, so that's going to be transparent. So I have to kind of think about what I can do. All right, let's get this down first. Like I said, one thing at a time. Don't try and solve all of the problems all at once. Let's just get him on here. And even while I have him there, I'm going to add his little ears on. I'm going to give him two little black ears, or maybe black and gold. Now, the only reason I know how to do a giraffe is because I've done one or two before. And before I did them the first time, I was like, where do the giraffe's ears go? What do they look like? Where do the horns go? and even now, it's like, I don't know perfectly how to do this giraffe, but I've got enough of an idea that I can make a whimsical giraffe. And now I'm second guessing myself. Because I'm like, wait a minute, do the ears go out like this? Pretty sure they do. Oh. Wait a minute. I'm going to check Eric Carle's giraffe in a moment, just to make sure that I'm on the right track. I think that's how they go. Let's have a look and see. Ta-da! Little horns, little ears, little eyes. All right, we're on the right track. Okay, so let's get that on. And let's get this one on. Okay. And then his neck's supposed to be super long. So I don't know whether I can, like, if I try and squish him in, he's going to be a very short giraffe. So maybe we're just seeing a part of a landscape and a part of a giraffe. What do you think? Let's see. If I want him to be more... I'm thinking out loud here. Let's give him a longer neck. And then kind of comes around like this. Oops. Okay, we've got one sticking to the other. You have to not mind getting sticky things on your hand if you're going to do collage. So which way was that going to go? That was going to go like that. Maybe like that. Give him a slightly shorter neck so that we can add just the suggestion of some legs in. See what this looks like over the top of the... That's not too bad. This is going to be a crazy, crazy giraffe. The thing is, I've been watching a lot of YouTube with Emily Powell lately, who I love, and who recently did the YouTube boats sketches here, which you guys saw first. And she's just so funny to watch because she doesn't care about what anything looks like. She likes to, like, she would love to try and make a short giraffe or a giraffe where you had to squish all his legs in and have him out of proportion. Nothing matters to her in that way. So it's pretty funny. Now that, I don't know whether that's doing it for me. In terms of, what am I going to say? Thinking and talking at the same time. In terms of the fact that you can see right through it, I'm not sure. Now he looks like a little giraffe turtle. All right, I'm gonna go with it. Go with it. One leg. And let's see. Two legs. This might be the silliest thing you've ever seen, but if it gives you a laugh, it will be worth it. Let's see if we can find another leg. You have to imagine the rest of his legs are coming down here, right? Out of frame. Or that he is a very short giraffe. Vertically challenged giraffe. wonder what it would be like if I did this instead for his. Let's just try that. Just that there's something a bit different over the top of. Let me see if I've got any more. Thinking maybe one more layer over the top could be good. So let's try. We'll get another leg out of this, but let's also try and pull this in. I think that might be better. Okay, let's put this one on. So now we've got 2 layers of tissue, and that should give us a little bit more opacity over the top of the grass. That's better. A little bit more medium. And another leg. This leg here is too funny, this little turtle flipper leg. So maybe that one can go, yeah, let's do that one out there. Okay. All right. Little short giraffe. And what else can we have here? Why don't we go for a, let's try this. A wacky, tall bird sitting on his back. I'm just going to try this out first before I do anything else. And this little bird can be looking over his shoulder back towards the giraffe. Something kind of like that. So sometimes it's good to like play with things first and then see how they feel. Maybe this little piece doesn't need to be here. Something like that. My fingers are all sticky. Something like that. I could put a third layer on, which would be even more opaque, and it would have the same. Wait a minute. I think that's better. Okay. All right. Small things excite me. And then maybe we don't have the legs at all, because maybe that's really how tall the giraffe would be. What do we think about that? Let's transform it. I think this is better. I'm sorry if you were attached to the little short-legged stumpy giraffe, but I think I need to change it. Just because I pulled this out and it looked like it was just meant to be. So that's good. And see, his legs are going to be all the way down here now, right? What can we do about this? If we don't want that there, will it come off? Yes, it will. We're still early enough that we can get it off. If not, you could have just collaged over it with a little bit more greenery. Perhaps some greenery that was overlapping this body of the giraffe. All right, happier. Okay, let's put this on. Let's get rid of this bird for the moment. And pop this long-necked giraffe on. He's so tall that he cannot even fit on the page. Much better. So we now have 3 layers of collage on there, right? And we can... Very easy to lose things when you're collaging. I have no idea where that card was that I was scraping with, but there it is. Okay. Now, I don't mind a little bit of texture, so don't stress out too much if you've got texture going on. Oh, that's so much better. Okay, next. So now I don't know whether I want the bird on his back, or maybe, let's see, maybe the bird can face the other way, and maybe his legs are not so long. Let's see what would happen if our bird was here. Like this, and we'll make his neck a little bit skinnier. He's facing here like this, and then he still has, I think that's going to be a better fit. So let's do that. If you don't like having glue on your fingers, you're probably not going to like this exercise very much. Because it's kind of a prerequisite. Which one was this? This one. This is the one. And this little head, which I especially love because it already has the suggestion of an eye, so sometimes things are just right there. and you don't have to add them in. In fact, I don't even think he needs a beak now. He feels like a different kind of bird, and it feels like he already has a beak. Or let's see what would happen. I don't know. What do we think? Kind of rounds it out, doesn't it? Kind of makes it feel like, yeah, let's add it in. It makes it feel like your eyes are going to move around it a little better, around the whole picture. Okay. All right. Now what? Now I kind of feel like everything's looking over this way. So I'm going to look for something that can kind of just, what are they looking at, right? So maybe there is, because if everything's looking over that way, it's kind of like your eyes are just going to fall off the page. And I feel like if I even put a tree up here, it's going to also make you look over that way. So something has to be coming in this way. What could it be? What could it be? It could be, let's try a couple of ideas. It could be, okay, there could be a branch with something sitting on it. Sometimes you just have to play around with ideas until something sticks. Ah, what could that thing be? Some strange creature with very long legs coming in from this direction. Well, I don't know what it is, but maybe they're looking at it because they don't know what it is either. Let's see here. Maybe you can tell me what it is, because I'm putting it in there. And I think he just needs to have two tiny, tiny ears. Maybe we'll figure out what he is then. Oh, it gets tricky when you're using such tiny pieces. Almost need some tweezers. Okay, kind of gives him cat ears, doesn't it? Maybe he's like a strange elongated feline. But maybe his body, yeah, that's better. I think his body needs to be a little bit thicker. So let's just add this little bit in here. And I think that gives our imagination a little bit more to go on, to go with. And I like that little stripe of blue there as well. Ties this in. Okay, yay! Now we know what they're looking at. Well, we don't really, but they're looking at some strange creature. Okay, let's finish this off. We could finish it off with, let's see, sun in the sky. Now at this point, I don't know whether I want to add in another thing, like another element as far as a different type of paper, because that might just make it, I don't know, if we add something else in, I think we'd have to put some of that somewhere else as well. Maybe like some flowers, which we could. I don't know, let's keep it simple. I think you're going to get the gist of it after we finish this. I don't want to be too long for you all, but I do want to kind of spark your imagination and get you going with some collage papers and just with some fun with matte medium. Let's pop a sun in the sky. Thinking about composition, where I put it. Shoo. And talking about flowers, I'd say let's pop some flowers in. So we need some stems. Always good to have elements that slightly overlap, and that gives you more of a sense of depth, even in a piece that is quirky and fun like this and non-realistic. I like to have odd numbers as well. And I just think that off in the distance, we should have a little tree, something about this space through here, which is not quite right to me. And so I just want to put in a little tree. And just extend that trunk down, tiny touch more. Some little black stems. Now again, you could come in and paint these if you wanted to. If you're getting sick of collage by this stage, you could add some paint. I think I might just do something a little bit different because I don't think that green stems are going to stand out. Better. Now, I actually really like the addition of this red into the collage. And so I feel the need to add it in a few other places. So what I'm going to do is create some little roundish organic shapes to add onto the giraffe here and there that will tie that color in. and make it belong to the rest of the collage. I am going to bring just a tiny touch of pencil in for the sun. There. And a little bit of felt marker in here. Just a little Sharpie for his eye. And a touch of white gel pen. There. Just bringing that red pencil into a couple of places so that it makes a bit more sense. So you can get the gist of what we can create using collage, coming up with some quirky animals. And I think this has been a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed it as well. And I really want to see what you guys get out of it for yourselves. I might just add a little bit more of the pencil into some of these flowers. So you see, you could keep on going and going and going. If you have gotten marks around the outside, you could actually use a pencil to kind of come in, or you could even use a little bit of white ink in and around, or a different colored ink to get a background color in. So, you know, play around with it and see what you come up with. And I would love to see what you do come up with in our VIP group on Facebook, and I hope you've enjoyed. Okay, that's it. Oh, one more thing. So because I have taped this down with the masking tape, and I've got a lot of overlapping pieces, what I will need to do when this dries is to get a little craft knife and to just kind of cut the edges of where the collage is so that I can more easily lift off the tape. Okay, so have fun with it, and I'll see you in the group soon. Okay, bye.